Final score, Manchester United 3, St Etienne 0. Zlatan Ibrahimovic with a hat-trick. I'm here with Ian from the Manchester United Supporters Trust. Ian, good result tonight.
Yeah, I thought, considering the it wasn't a slow start, but it got a bit sluggish at times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think 3-0 in the end was decent.
Yeah.
Pogba's hit across the bar and then his free kick right at the death. You know, he could have had one tonight, so that'd have been 4. But yeah, I think we go to theirs next week, and I think apart from keeping it tight, playing on the counter possibly and nick the away goal, then I think that'll be tie over.
Yeah. I thought that we were quite average today, especially at the back, or maybe it was a case of they were really poor. Do you know what I mean? Like some of their finishing was, well, I say finishing. I use that word loosely for them. It was pretty poor, to be honest. But yeah, just at large parts of the game we were pretty average, I'd say. I just did the player ratings. I gave most of the players 7s because I thought that we weren't bad, but considering the amount of games that we've been playing and it's been roughly the same team, I think it's pretty apt, to be fair. Do you reckon?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Yeah, like you say, at times it was a bit average. It was a bit sloppy at times. So were they. But they had chances as well. They could have easily scored today. I think we get well from where we sat at the other end of the ground. Zlatan goes down like he's just about to pray at something. So it looks like he's gone down quite easily. How the referees give it a penalty, I don't know, but we'll take it and then take the third goal.
Yeah, it's one of them, isn't it? Considering some of the decisions that have gone against us this season, and maybe some of the penalties we should have, perhaps they even themselves out.
Well, the referee. Yeah. I don't want to bring the referee into it again, but even in even in Europe, that the standard of referee is not as good. It's not anywhere near as good as the Premier League. It's nice to see the Etienne fans all disappearing away together in the background here.
Yeah, it was because
they made an absolute din today.
Yeah,
they're brilliant.
Brilliant. Yeah, they were brilliant. It's not very often that we get fans from the opposition who actually make a decent atmosphere. Do you know what I mean? Even like Liverpool or City. Do you know what I mean? It's
Liverpool were shocking this season, but Tally show while running past us at 100 miles an hour. It's funny, but
probably catching his train to London.
To be honest, it looks like one of the club's service staff that's probably only just been let out of the away section because he's been vetted by all the coppers.
Yeah, good. Oh, steady on.
Yeah, that works. Idiot. But if we, they made a din, but that just shows how bad our home support is. The best part about the atmosphere at Old Trafford tonight was us singing chinos at their assistant, who looked like some sort of medical student they brought with them. He was wearing chinos.
He forgot his tracksuits and was like, "Oh man, top man gear it is then."
Well, I wouldn't mind, but there was a collision in the box.
Other stores are available.
There was a collision in the box of 2 heads. United's physio team come flying on, bags in hands. St Etienne's teams come on with a set of chinos. It was hilarious, and I'm glad that the United fans had actually had a bit of a laugh. So it sort of brightened up the atmosphere, but it was crap for United's home. I just hope that the fun and games that they've had today, that United get to have part of that next week.
Yeah. So we've got 3 goals to take to their ground. I think it's pretty important because with the games that we've got coming up, perhaps taking a 3-0 lead is very, very important, because at 1-0, which it was for in a large part of the game, you sort of think, well, this isn't going to be enough to take over there. We're going to have to play. We can afford to maybe take a couple players off early or start with a weakened team. With obviously Southampton in mind on the Sunday after.
Yeah, obviously the League Cup final comes into this a lot. You spoke about the amount of games that are now building up. They're talking about putting the Southampton league game in somewhere in the back end of March, just depending on this weekend's result of Blackburn. So even this is the fact that we've got a Blackburn game, FA Cup game at weekend, Cup game against say Etienne away, and then obviously an League Cup final weekend after. It's an extremely busy period, and yeah, I thought it would have been nicer to see a couple more of the sort of weaker players. But Jose rotated it today. Ashley Young coming on, Jesse Lingard getting another shot.
Romero.
Romero. But to be fair, Romero, does a job in games where you've got a team like, say, Etienne. No disrespect to them, they come across here and. They're going to have very few fire chances for him to deal with. It's not exactly like you're putting him up against, Chelsea coming here and putting him in front of them.
It is important as well for people like Romero to kind of stay motivated. So it is nice to have guys like him come into the team today. Like, well, because being a number 2 today is going to be a pretty pretty sad at times, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Well, it's not sad. I think obviously you've got such a world-class keeper in front of you, and you've got to get yourself in that situation. But yeah, that squad rotation. I think that there's a hell of a lot of the players in that team. Bastian Schweinsteiger, who's come back in. You've got Ashley Young, just sat out there, and
all who could have easily gone somewhere else in January, with no qualms, and there would have been in high demand. Do you know what I mean? Schweinsteiger won the World Cup with Germany, captain Bayern Munich. The list goes on, and same with Young. Had a fairly decent career with United. If any of them two would say, yeah, that's it, I want to leave. Do you know what I mean? The offers they'd be inundated with offers, but they're willing to stay. Try and make a name for themselves, and try and get back in the team. And fair play to them. I've got to say, fair play.
Yeah, I think that's all part of Jose's philosophy. I wouldn't really want to use the word philosophy after LVG, but yeah, I think that's part of what LVG's brought. I think I said it earlier in the season that he's bringing this sort of like there is a squad rotation sort of system, and if you're going to play well enough, you'll get in the team. You're going to get chances at times if you prove it on the training pitch, and a lot of people are scared about Rashford moving on. A lot of people are scared about Shaw moving on. If they look at Mkhitaryan and the progress that he made while he wasn't in the team, and he's come back and fired on all cylinders pretty much. Martial today looked like he was having a real go at their left back, at their right back. And it was good to see that he has, because at times he's been quiet, and he sort of starts to wonder if he would disappear, and then he shot all the journalists down a couple of weeks back, which is brilliant. And he's starting to prove it back on the pitch now. Yeah.
Well, yeah, we've got some exciting times ahead. We've got Blackburn on Sunday, and we're taking 7,000 fans to Ewood Park.
And the 250,000 on the Hill, remember?
Yeah, of course, yeah. And a few days later, St Etienne again, followed by Southampton in the League Cup final. Just quickly talk about the League Cup final. How do we see that going?
Well, Southampton's sort of form dips and thingies, but it's a cup final. Anyone
they would have had 2 weeks off as well.
Yes. Jose pointed this out. I think it was before Watford game it might have been the game before that he said the amount of time that they got off is a lot more than us. But
which takes us back to the earlier point I was saying about having 3 goals to take to.
Yeah. It means that you can squad rotate for that game, give a couple more of the youngsters in a chance in that game, and save some legs for obviously that game. I don't know. It's a cup final. If we win against Blackburn and do the business out in France come next Thursday, I think Watts McCulloch will be well in sort of high spirits enough to go into that cup final and go, this is our second piece of silverware, if you want to class the Community Shield as one of the season, and if you'll class it's the first, but getting that one then gives us, have a look at our form. We've lost 2 games in 20 games or something.
Undefeated in 15 games in all European home competitions.
Yeah, Zlatan scored 17 out of 18 games here, so he's making it a bit of his own fortress.
That's it, he scored 17 goals in 14 games against these lots in Etienne. Stats keep on coming, guys. Anyway,
I feel like
I know, Stato. Anyway, guys, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to wrap it up here. Follow us on Snapchat. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Check out the website, www.thepeoplesperson.com. United are on the way to Wembley. Good times ahead. We're on the way to Ewood Park, 7,000 of us. What a time to be alive. What a time to be a Manchester United supporter. Nothing on earth like being a Red. And with that being said, guys, thanks for watching.